Hello, Facebook. We are live tonight with Thrive Talk Live. Tonight I'm with Jose Alicea. I'm here to introduce all of Circle Champions and everyone to Jose. He's been a long-time champion in Circle of Champions worldwide, probably since the very beginning. I met Jose I mean, I didn't really meet you, even though you were sitting right in front of me with your wife. But we saw each other. We were there at Billy Osbrook's Blessed Unstoppable tour, which actually he's coming on January 24th. He's coming back to Miami for another show.
Hopefully.
And yeah. And well, you said you might want to go to his show, but so anyway, today we're here with Jose Alicea. He's going to talk to us about some of his struggles, some of the things that he's been through, like we all have, and more importantly, like some of the lessons that he's learned and some of the mindsets that he has to help him overcome, to help him get through things, even currently, because this year has been a difficult year for all of us. We've all experienced something, even if it's just, vicariously through watching what happens on TV. But we're going to get some nuggets from him tonight. And we have we have Adrian and Raymond here, and I don't know who else. I just see numbers, but I don't see faces. But if you're here, just go ahead and say hi to us. And if you have any questions for Jose, remember you're always part of Thrive Talk and you're part of the conversation. So join us in the conversation, any questions you have. But also, if this is the first time you and I connect and we meet, my name is Sarai Nammur. I am from Miami, Florida. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and my passion is helping people overcome trauma and adversity in their life and helping them not just overcome it, but also thrive and stand on it and become a better person for it. So every person that I bring on the show is proof that you could do it as well. I mean, if we did it and if every person that comes on here has done it, so can you. And Jose Alicea is another person and another proof of that, right, Jose? Hi, Rhonda. I see Rhonda there too. So we'll get started. So like I said, Jose is a longtime champion in Circle of Champions. I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures he's been doing lately. Mine have like some flashy eyes, but he's done it for me, Raymond, Billy Osbrooks, and they're super cool. And he is a retired police officer from Newark, New Jersey. So he's a Jersey boy, right? You're a Jersey boy, not a New York boy, a Jersey boy. And
Jersey boy.
Jersey boy. And he is also a husband and a father of two. Is that correct? Two boys?
Father of three. I have a girl, and I'm also a grandfather with a grandson.
Oh, wow. I only saw the little ones.
Yeah.
See,
I have a grandson back in Jersey. Yeah, my daughter,
wow.
she's 23 years old. I have a grandson, a few months old, and back in Jersey. And I'm here with my wife. She's in the other room with my two boys, watching us on the computer, probably. Cool. And family, man. It's lovely. It's a wonderful thing.
Awesome.
They keep me motivated.
So the other thing about Jose is that he retired as a police officer from New Jersey, and now he also lives here in Florida, in mid Florida, like right next Lakeland, right next to Orlando. And it's been a big transition for you. And after speaking, I realized it's like, even though you've done a lot of things, even the transition of the retirement and coming over here and all of that has been, like all transitions, something that we have to go through. And I think all of us have gone through so many transitions now in 2020, and who knows like what's ahead of us in 2021. So I think it's very relevant, like what we're going to talk about. But let's talk about you. Let's start with you being a police officer. How many years were you a police officer in New Jersey?
Wow. Practically almost 21 years to be exact. The day I turned in my shield on February 26th of 2018 on a Sunday was that last night. And that's when, let me tell you, that night a lot of police officers who I've not seen in years throughout my career were showing up in that area. So I'm thinking, what's going on? Because a lot of them were moved to a lot of special units, and a lot of things happened, which is scary though, because when some police officers retire, they face their last encounter of a rough incident. Like I had 3 shootings that night, and I said to myself, "Wow, I'm about to retire, and this is already happening." And I'm at a fixed post shooting protocol with my coworker, and we're like, "Oh my God, here we go, here we go." And I remember when a kid was shot about 3 blocks away from where I was, patrolling. My captain looked at me in the corner and he said, "You're about to retire in a few hours." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "This is happening right now." I was like, "Yeah, I know." So I thought, wow. But overall, I stood on overtime till like 7:30 in the morning, and my lieutenant back then was my classmate. He was the one that had me to respond back to the precinct. I never knew what for. And they had food, they had cakes and everything, and everybody was there from other precincts showed up. I can count maybe about 20 to 30 police officers were in that room, and they surrounded me. And then when they wanted me to give a speech, let me tell you, I froze, I choked a little bit, and my cousin, a couple of cops were recording me, and they were like, somebody in the background was whispering, "Why don't you start crying already?" I'm like, "This is your moment." I was like, but I didn't. I spoke, but it was a great turnout. It was a great turnout. Like I said, back in North New Jersey, I had great police officers. I mean, we had a great camaraderie. I mean, we built a big family. In the last precinct that where I was assigned to for like 4 years, I worked with many great officers. Most of them were relatives of mine, and I was in good company with them. I mean, we were taken care of, but we did our job overall. And the saddest part was that day on the 26th when I had to turn everything in. And let me tell you something, the curtains will open on you. And once you walk out that precinct, the curtains will close in back of you. And I never felt it until that day. But that day was different because when I got in my car, I turned around. Something was telling me, "Turn around to your left." And everybody came out. They turned on their lights from the police cars. They saluted me. And let me tell you, that right there, I broke down in tears. And I rolled the window up slowly and I drove off. And let me tell you, they just lit up the lights. They burst out the sirens and they were clapping hands and everything. And let me tell you, to me, that was the best send out given ever.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I didn't get an award. Thank you for your service. And I keep it straight up. When you're retiring from the force or any job in a goodwill, great things come. But when you got envy and you got hate and you got, people with name excuses, coming up, "Oh, he's retiring," or "She's retiring." It's like they always got that one comment to say. I didn't say that it happened on me, but what I found out later when I arrived to Florida in the month of May, I believe, was that they posted something on Facebook. Then they honored a couple of police officers that retired. Some people had less time than me, and they received honor awards and everything. And I said to myself, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be in that ceremony. So when I contacted Internal Affairs, they said, "We don't know what's going on. How come they didn't select you and other people?" And I said, "Were there other people?" I said, "Yeah, there were firefighters and 2 other police officers." I said, "Okay." They could have at least told me something. Maybe I would have went back to Jersey and got the award and then showed it to my wife and kids and say, "Listen, this is what I got." And sadly, I came home with nothing. But the one thing I can say that when I landed here, my family was already here. And to me, that was like the heck with the award. My award is, to go home with them and to let them know, "Listen, I'm here. I'm still alive. Now I'm here to be the family man that I am." But like the late Rocky Johnson used to tell me, "The show must go on. Got to keep going. Got to keep clanging and banging. May God rest his soul." And it was a great. I mean, like I said, the police department overall is a great job. Today is still a great job. You got many great new men and women there now. They're doing their thing, but with this COVID-19, things are different. Losing colleagues. I lost coworkers this past few months, and I think I lost maybe so far about 18. Most of them are old friends from the neighborhood, from high school. So yeah, but it's a great job. It's a great experience.
I know
For
that
anybody,
that was very hurtful, like, that, that, yes, you got the send out from your colleagues, but then there was something going on where you didn't get that award that after 21 years of, when we work, we pour more into our profession than even our own family. So to not even get that recognition, I know that was very hurtful for you too.
it is hurtful. It is hurtful because I wanted to bring that to my family. So when the day when my sons, they see that, it's like, that, what's that? And I was like, I worked for you. I served and protected, for you. I did my job for you. I just want to let you know that your father did his job as a police officer. I cheated death on that job 3 times already. I faced death, nearly died twice on that job. And here I am to let you know it's a dangerous time. I mean, it's a job. The job is rugged. It's dangerous, but it's not for everybody. But it's a great job, and I wanted to bring that, to my family. But when I saw that on social media, that really, hurt me the most. And I was like, wow, I'm trying not to think any sign of negativity about them. I just hope they maybe forgot about it. But by then they should have got a hold of me and said, listen, Joe, you need to come back to Jersey and get your award. You're going to get honored. You retired.
Yeah.
That would have been great. But, when they don't bother you, they don't bother you. They figure, you retire, you don't need the award or anything. But you know what? That award is something. That award, to me, that would have been like something to show to my family, at least. But it is what it is. Like I said, God himself got something very special for me. And I know, he said, I know him saying up there in heaven, I got this. So at the end of the day, it's all good.
Did you always grow up wanting to be a police officer? What made you become a police officer?
I guess my grandfather got me. How could I forget it? He took me out of the crib. He put me next to him, and he started putting some TV show. I think it was Adam 12, the old school Adam 12. And I'm like, okay. I guess I was fascinated with the police cars. I guess, it was black and white, and I was very fascinated with that and the music. And then I guess when the show finished, they said I started crying.
How are you?
I think I was 4 years old at the time.
Okay.
I think my grandfather was the one that got me into watching police shows. My father too, but it was mostly my granddad. He was, and I guess, seeing police cars driving in the old neighborhood, everybody started clapping hands back in the day. When you used to see the police car drive by, and you see all these old head Irish people with thick mustaches, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are in that car, but I see your eyes are blue. And the police car is driving slowly. I'm thinking, what's going on? But you're a little boy, you don't know anything. But as you get older, you're like, okay, now I'm starting to see everything. So I got kind of interested back then, but I've always wanted to become an actor, even when I was a little boy, because back then I used to mimic TV shows, musics, I guess. And I guess I was born with that gift, of being talented. But I never used it because, of course, people don't want you to show that gift. They just rather see you just stay in class and pay attention and learn. And I guess the list goes on.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good.
So let's get into some of the lessons. So one of the things you said that helps you get through is you must show no mercy, nor have any belief in how others judge you, but for your greatness will silence them all. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you come up with that, and what did that solve for you?
That high school, because that's how it started. In high school, it was very, very challenging for me because, of course, at Eastside High School, there was like over 400 or 500 kids in that school. I mean, that school was very, very big. It's very popular back then. It was very, very huge. But I was one of those kids that was just trying to get by and just, trying to get out. And as a child. But when you're feeling alienated by students, not all, but like who's the popular student in class, who's the popular student in the hallway, especially the seniors back then. You're a freshman, you're a ninth grader, you're surrounded by big people, and you're like nothing. I felt like Kevin Hart, all shorty, shrinked out. I was 5'1", and everybody was taller than me and everything. But when you're picked on by students and you're picked on by some teachers who, back then we had like one or two teachers with negative dreams. I mean, if you tell them something that I want to be a fireman, they'll look at you like you're crazy,
Right.
But a classmate of mine gave me a book to read. It was a comic book, a superhero comic book, but it was from a wrestler. And when I read his story, I used it. And after I read that book, the next day I walked into school like if I was wearing a crown on my head. But at the time I wasn't thinking that because nobody thought about the crown thing. I was just walking positive, saying, you know what, I'm going to finish school. I'm going to get out of this mess because this is crazy. Y'all don't want to be my friend, or you want to consider me as a little nerd, a person that walks into school, because I was a poor kid back then. I ain't had good clothes like everybody else did. I had good sneakers like everybody else. Look, I had Pumas. They had Pumas. I wore Sykes sneakers. I'm like, okay, these sneakers says Converse, yours says Adidas, Pumas. I mean, I was a poor little kid, but back then I held my head up high. I still have friends, but my dreams, my vision, everything I was thinking so positive that I guess all the people that were surrounding me that was so negative just disappeared one by one. And I used that note to myself, even after high school, even outside high school, wherever I went. If a relative of mine ever treated me different, like an outcast, or anybody from the neighborhood, anybody, always use that note. And I said, I'm going to be somebody, and I'm going to prove you all wrong. But at the time, I'm like 14, 15 years old, But I used that as a positive note. So since then, great things started to happen. They kept putting me in different classes, surrounded by great students. And my grades were getting better. Everything was getting better for me on my end, but I kept everything very, very quiet. And I've always said, and I want to share this, no matter what you're going through, if you believe in something, if there's something that you really want to do in your life, even back then in high school, if you have that vision, keep that vision, hold that vision, embrace it. Don't let it go, no matter what they say, because I had teachers who told me that I was going to be a nobody. I can tell you straight out, except for my homeroom teacher, the only one, God rest his soul, Mr. Vinny Philippone. That man held it. He said, you are going to be somebody. I can see that. And I see a police officer in you, because I was always wearing blue and black, but I guess we all had our styles, but we all had different visions. Me, I just kept mine to myself. So, I've always used that note, even to this day that I'm retired, even though I didn't receive the award and I didn't get recognized, shame on them. One day, something's going to happen. I may get a phone call. And then when the time is right, that's when I'm going to blow it up. And I'm going to thank those people for treating me so bad for no apparent reason, not recognizing me for an award or anything like that, and I'm going to say, I am going to send my apologies to none of you, but I'm going to thank you. So I'm just waiting for the right time. And when it does happen, and it will, then they'll be silenced. And the people around me will be shining. And I'll do this for my family.
So that's a really good attitude, really good attitude, that not to allow the judgment of others. And judgment comes in verbal ways, but it also comes in the way it came to you, which is you didn't get an award after you served for 21 years. And you even told me earlier about how you were serving during the 9/11 attacks and all of that. So, I mean, you served for all those years. That's a long time. But that's a good message to everyone, that no matter what's going on around you, don't let go of your dreams, like you were saying earlier. And also, just, you don't have to retaliate. Your greatness, the thing that will silence. What is that saying that says your greatest revenge is your success?
Yes.
That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, you want to be successful, focus on yourself. You want to be the best you can be, keep it quiet, keep others guessing, focus on you. When the time is right, even though it takes days, months, weeks, years. Guess what? It's coming. And when it does, they're going to say, not absolutely nothing. Going to be like, nah, that's impossible. That's not him. That's a fake, like the fake news, that's fake. No, it's not fake. This is reality here, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
I love, honestly, there's one thing in this world that I'm going to share also that I love are the haters, because haters make me stronger. Haters make me laugh because it's like, if I post a picture of myself in Dr. Billy All's book and my wife, or let's say I post my kids, or let's say I post us, they'll look about it, they'll look at it, they'll think about it, they'll scroll, they'll say, should I like it, should I not? Or now they'll show it to everybody, say, look what this guy's doing, he thinks he's the one. I was like, newsflash, I am the one. I'm the one. And the people around me.
That's funny. There's somebody here, I guess he knows you. There's a guy here, it's called Lex Shreds. He says Shazam is the flesh. Shazam in the flesh.
Yeah, that's my family. He's my neighbor. He lives like about not too far from me. He's like a few feet away from me. Yeah, he's watching. I'm glad he's watching. Yeah, he's a relative. He's also retired. He's a retired correction officer, and he just made it. Thank God. Thank you. Welcome. He made it. He's a retired CO. He did his years and everything. He's also an Army vet. Great guy, sweet man, down to earth. He gave me a bottle of Bacardi, and of course, me and my wife, we tangled it down and everything. And he gave me a cigar and a written book by one of the top dogs in the White House, who's one of Trump's supporters. And let me tell you, I read 2 pages, and I was like, wow, wow, wow. That's like you're walking into a spaceship and you see aliens who exist. But Lex is the man. Anybody want to look for him? He's the one. He's a great man. Good hard worker. He's a family man. Beautiful man. I hope he's listening. I hope he's watching.
Who, Lex?
Lex. He'll probably knock on my door. Yeah, he'll probably knock on my door tomorrow.
He's shooting lightning there. So can you tell us a little bit about the whole Shazam? So you identify as Shazam, like Shazam the superhero. So like how do you blend in with Shazam the superhero?
I'm gonna say this. People ain't gonna believe it, but I'm gonna say it. And those who I tagged about this upcoming live show gonna know about it. My grandfather was the one that got me into watching television with him, because remember, back then, my grandfather, before I was born, he went through so much, with my grandmother, his wife at the time, that walked out on him, my father, who was in Vietnam and everything. So my grandfather basically was by himself and with my mother at the time. So he was the one that got me into watching TV of superheroes. I was his favorite grandson out of all his nephews and relatives. I was his very, very favorite grandson. And let me tell you, this man just got me into watching superhero. Now Shazam was brought to my attention. I just kept looking and looking and looking. And I said, what is it about this? I was fascinated with thunder and lightning. And I guess, I don't know, watching the show for the first time was actually brought to my attention. I fell in love with the character. Matter of fact, even when I got older, I started, drawing lightning bolt of almost his logo. And I used to cut it with a scissor, and I used to put tape in the back, and I used to put it on my chest. And I used to walk around, with this, fake Shazam outfit. But I said to myself, I'm in love with this character. But of course, like every person, every boy or girl every girl loves Barbie, Strawberry Shortcake, every boy likes Superman, Green Lantern, Shazam, even Batman. But Shazam to me was like my very, very favorite type. It's my very favorite superhero, but I never said it. And one day I said the word Shazam, and my grandfather, he just opened up his arm, and then he grabbed me and he hugged me. And he says, in Spanish, you're my favorite superhero. So I kept that because of him, and he knew I loved the character. But when he passed away, let me tell you, I kind of ignored the character. I think back then, the end of the show and everything. So things got a little kind of gray, But I never lost touch with the character until one day back in 1988. I was with my uncle. We was walking up and down in downtown, and we went to a comic book store, and it was on a Sunday in the fall. It was cold, I remember, and we made a stop somewhere. He was smoking a cigarette. He had to light up a cigarette, and I just turned around and I saw this comic book in front of the comic book store, and it had Shazam comic books there with Batman and Superman, and I said, "Oh wow, that's the character that I like." And my uncle said, "Which one?" I said, "This one." He's, "Oh, Shazam's the one. Shazam, that's my favorite." And I looked at him and I was like, and I got kind of mad. I said, "No, he's my favorite. No, you're not his favorite." But that's when I started loving more about Shazam, because I kind of forgot about it after all these years. But as I got older in high school, a couple of kids brought comic books, and they were all, DC. They were all Wonder Woman, Shazam, Batman, Superman. And when I saw the Shazam ones, I started reading the books, and that's when I got involved with it more and more and more. Now, this goes back in high school. This is before 1990. And since then, I got so into it that people started calling me Shazam even back then. Not as much, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a popular kid, but I was one of those students when I became a junior and a senior. That's when I started, getting myself back on the grind. I was starting to shine a little bit because I guess I love the character. So even though at the time I wasn't working, but I've always wanted to get a T-shirt, and I asked for a T-shirt for Christmas, and I never got it. So Shazam always been my favorite character, and because of that, I kept it as a very, as a positive role model to me, because, me going to high school with a positive attitude, I use that character as like me being him. The only difference, I just walked in like, yeah, I'm a nobody, I'm a loser, I'm like everybody else, don't look at me. But when I'm out of high school, I'm that total different person with an attitude and with a good heart. And no matter how much people looked at me, or I was ignored by young chicks at the time, because when you're a little boy, you try and look at girls like, "Oh, I want to be the guy. I want you. I want to be with you." But they look at you as a nerd. Like, they looked at me like they laughed at me. I was laughed at many times. Like, you like a nerd. You don't know how to dress right. And that kind of hurted me, but what can I do? I mean, I'm a poor kid struggling, but I never lost that character. I always kept it in my heart. So I just went home, went by my business, and by watching movies constantly, that's when I started to bring the Shazam back. I said, you know what? I want to get into the movies. I want to become an actor. Being a police officer is one thing, but when you become an actor, you see yourself walking in red carpets. And I guess, I always had that habit watching the Oscars, the Academy Awards. Forget about the movies. I used to watch that, and I used to see myself like somewhere in that audience, like somewhere sitting there wearing a tuxedo, wearing a suit, clapping hands with all the next celebrities next to me. Like, I see myself there many times. And I said to myself back then, it's strange. And I'm about to tell you, I said, what if I the first one to come out with a Shazam movie, and I happen to get that Oscar win, and they call my name, and I happen to get up and go out there and get it. And mind you, I was like 17 years old at the time. I'm like, can you just imagine that? And I'm seeing myself with that vision, but I never shared it with anybody, because, of course, you're a kid, growing up on your own without a grandfather, with a single parent, my mother, and it was rough at home as well. But I never lost touch of that character. Never.
Mm.
Yeah, Shazam's always been, and now today, I am that one. I am that character. I am, especially when I'm in a game. Oh, I'm a beast. I try not to hurt myself, but I do it for my family. I do it for the ones who had my back from day one. Lex is one of them.
Weren't you gonna do a movie like having to do with Shazam?
I have friends on Instagram that were trying to boycott. They were trying to get everybody's attention, because I guess they were looking for people. At the time, I was a police officer, and I had like two friends from New York. They went to cosplaying, Comic Cons, and everything. They had connections, and they were just getting contact with a lot of people. Listen, pick him, and I'm like, listen, I don't. At the time, I didn't have Instagram. I was still on Facebook, and they did their best to put me out there to get me, chosen, because they were looking for people. They was like just auditioning, but I guess they picked up that one actor, Zachary Levi, which to me, I think he did a great job with the character. He did a fantastic role, with the character and everything. But I didn't get no feedbacks or nothing, and at the time. But before that happened, That's when I got in a hold with the late soul man Rocky Johnson at the time when he was alive. He was in Comic Cons back in Newark, the first Comic Cons ever, done in Newark, New Jersey. And I said, "Wow, this is interesting." And I didn't know my wife got me a Shazam costume. That was really awesome with her because back then I saw something,
I think
about.
I saw a picture of you. I think I saw a picture of you with that costume.
Yeah, that was the costume that she got me. As a matter of fact, that's a costume from the issue Kingdom Come version. This is when Shazam actually was beating the crap out of everybody, even Superman in the comic books. But that was a costume that she got me. As a matter of fact, I did not even expect that. And she looked at me and she says, "Now you can go to Comic Cons, in Newark." And at that time, I was not motivated with that. And what I'm about to tell you, like I'd never shared this with anybody, but you are my first. My wife told me, "Just do it for me, and just go. You never know what's going to happen. You may be discovered." I never knew when I got there. I was nervous as hell. There were so many people dressed up in costumes, but I was the only one in there in Shazam.
Mm.
And then my daughter's godfather, who was also dressed up as Batman at the time, he's very, very well known, and he had his Batmobile there, his Camaro.
Oh.
And his car's a beast. It's jacked up with got Lamborghini doors. It's customized. It's a beautiful, beautiful car. And he had a lot of people that were dressed up taking pictures with his Batmobile. Like he was the first one I rolled up there. And here I am by myself in a big ball, surrounded by booths with celebrities once back in the day that just signing pictures, autographs, and I saw this one man with one leg on a chair, and he was looking at the exit door, and he was eating ribs.
Okay.
And I looked at him, and that was Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father. So I'm looking at him, and I'm by myself. I was with nobody, and I was like, "Wow, I feel like an outcast. I feel left out." But I guess I didn't know that was the moment that when that little angel comes up to your ear and says, "Listen, this is your time now. Go to him." And I was nervous.
Did you know it was him?
Yeah, I knew it was him. He was
okay.
the only big guy in there. He was the tallest guy in the booth. So I was like, well, he's a beast. I mean, for a guy, back who was in his 70s, but he was 69 at the time. The man was huge. And he was very, very intimidating. He tell you the truth, he reminded me so much of my grandfather. His hands, his body, his height, everything that you see in that man was, I saw my grandfather again. And I approached up to him. I said, "Mr. Rocky Johnson." He looked at me with a smile that I'm like, he's like looking at me like, "I've been watching you smile." And I said, I'm Rocky Johnson, I'm here to respectfully to shake your hands for a job well done you did back in the WWE. And he looked at me, and then he grabbed this one chair. He flipped it over him, and he told me, "Sit right here." And my heart was beating right through the lightning bolt on my costume. and when I sat next to him, with his strong left hand, he grabbed underneath and he pulled it right next to him. He placed his arm around my shoulder, and he looked at me. He says, "I've been watching you for a long, long time." And
Wow.
I'm like, and I was like, and I just looked at him. I couldn't talk, and I said, "Okay." He's like, "I want you to start doing movies with my son Dwayne." And that's when I had this large gulp in my throat that I couldn't swallow, because that's how nervous I was. And I'm like, "Okay." He said, "Just let's talk to me more about you." And I think within that whole entire day, 5 hours and 43 minutes and 14 seconds, that's how long we stood talking. That's how long we bonded, and we caught this connection right there.
Yeah, it was an
like
instant
a long
connection.
lost. Yeah, it was like a family connection. That because when I told him, "Listen, to my father's side, we have Cherokee blood," and he said he was Cherokee blood, and we started mentioning names from ancestors. And when I mentioned an ancestor from back then, he kind of said, "Wait a minute, that name sounds familiar." And all I said real quick, I said, "Maybe that's our relative." Because you know what? When I've been a police officer, I've been realizing that people that I've encountered and other people that they encountered never knew that they're related. And you don't have to
Right.
live in a city, itself. You could live in other states or in other countries, and you could be related to that person and not even know. But the
Right.
connection I caught with this man, we felt this family connection. Let me tell you something. It was like we found each other. Like it was that perfect moment. And let me tell you, everybody came around and started taking pictures because I sat next to him. And a lot of people, they all said in the end, wait a minute, that's Dwayne, that's The Rock's father. And because I said more of it, everybody started coming. And he started getting a lot of money. I said, wait a minute, where is this money coming from? I said, because I told this photographer to go tell everybody that The Rock's father is here. Because I guess somebody must have said otherwise. And let me tell you, it's a big line. And this man walked out of there with I remember, I can see a bunch of 20s like this, all for him.
Why were they giving him money?
Well, for taking pictures and signed autographs and everything. Then the promoter, paid him an extra I think 2,500. And he looked at me. He says, "You want to share some of this?" I said, "No. Our friendship is enough." And I walked him, to the front of the hotel with the Shazam costume on, and the photographer named Dylan Cohen, because he was my witness. He's also on my Facebook page. He was the one that actually went out there and boycotted for me to do the Shazam movie, but that didn't happen. And when I hugged this man, like a goodbye, and he says, "Call me on Sunday at 6 p.m. when I land to Florida." And I said, "Okay." And when I hugged this man, let me tell you something. It felt like I hugged my grandfather again.
Wow.
That same hug, the same grip and everything. That, let me tell you, it was like my grandfather showed up within seconds and to let me know, listen, I was there too. So from there, I got home and I told my wife, I said, "Babe, you don't want to believe what the hell just happened." And she looked at me with a smile. She said, "Let me tell you." And herself the next day.
Happened. That would have never happened if she didn't give you that costume. And if she didn't
Let me
believe
tell
in, she planted the seed.
Yeah.
It's
If it
crazy.
weren't for her, let me tell you something. If it weren't for her, none of this will be happening. None of this will be happening because she knew the characters. Matter of fact, when she found out my nickname, that rather than Golden Eagle, that was my Native American Indian name. She said, "Shazam, huh? I like that." And I was like, okay. I met my match. And let me tell you, if it weren't for her, I would not be. I mean, I don't know where I'll be. She's been my backbone even from day one. For over 10 years, she's been my backbone. And let me tell you, if it weren't for her, none of this would ever happen. None of this would ever happen. But the next day, when I called up Rocky Johnson and she heard his voice, her mouth dropped. Her eyes opened up wide. She's like, "Is that who I think it is?" I said, "Yeah, this is The Rock's father." When I called him up at 6 p.m. on Sunday, he said, "Thank you for calling me, son. You're my client." And I said, "Huh?" I was like, "You're my client. I'm an agent." And I was like, "Okay, all right." Now things are getting, better now.
Which
and
is
I
so
remember when I went back.
But that is so interesting because it's, the story has turned into another kind of story, but it's so interesting how your dream as a child was to be an actor and perform. And then here you go and you meet this guy that tells you I'm an agent, and he's like an agent, and he's Rocky Johnson, and he's telling you that he's gonna help you or be your agent. Like how it all came together without you even trying, right? Like it wasn't even an effort. It just
You know what?
It was meant to be that way.
Back then, when I was a detective, I'm going to go back in 2005. I took this acting class under newstars.com. I went to audition in upstate New York for a Taco Bell commercial, and I did well. And the key is to get into that acting class to learn the courses, to learn the monologues, dialogues, and method acting. I was coached by an actress by the name of Brooks Bundy. She's a 30-year veteran at the time who did tons of movies and everything. If you can remember Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, when Freddy Krueger cut her head off and she's talking like this, and he's holding her head, that was her.
Yeah.
That was my coach.
Okay.
I took a class for 3 months, and I finally got certified with that. And I took some headshots on the newstars.com, and back then that was the opportunity to get out, because I even auditioned for that movie Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Based with them, with the actor Brandon Roth. He was the one that played Superman at the time, and
Mhm.
everything. I went to audition for that, and out of all these men that made it, I believe I made rank number 4 out of those 6,000 men that went to audition for that, because everybody went out there. You know, even people that don't even look like Superman, you know, went out there to audition. And matter of fact, even when I was a police officer, I did dress up as Superman, you know, for the police department, for the kids, just to mentor kids, you know, to go to countless community events, you know, for the city and outside the city. And then it was a great turnout back then. It was very, very good. So with that, I always wanted to get into acting and everything. And let me tell you, it was a blessing. But back then I did a small part. I was a low budget film based on Marvel Comics. If you look on YouTube, the first round, Punisher versus Wolverine, I play a henchman in there. I get killed in there. I get a knife thrown into my chest. I mean, you'll see it on YouTube. It's like a 15-minute clip, but great video. And from there, that's when I decided, like, not take interest in law enforcement anymore. And I wanted to just get into acting, because that's something I've always wanted. You know, I'm 48 years old, and I got people, like, one day I went to pick up something up at CVS Pharmacy over here, not too far from here.
Mhm.
And I went to get a jar, big jug. You know, every now and then you gotta have your wine, but I had to get sangria. So there were some people there, and they said, "Can I see your ID?" And I said, "Here." I said, "How old are you?" I was like, at the time I'm 47. People turned around and looked at me, like all the 8 people. And I was like, "Why is everybody looking at me?" I was like, "You're not 47." I said, "Yes, I am. Look at that ID." I said, "But you don't look 47." I was like, "Yes, but I am." You know, I'm a father. I'm a soon-to-be grandfather, and everybody kept looking at me like, "You're not 47." "Yes, I am." I said, "Then you must be a vampire." So I said, "Maybe it's something here. I got 2 bites over here on my neck, then maybe I'm related to Dracula." But now, the blessing that I have, and I thank God to, is that, you know, most of us don't age as much. We don't even look our age. You know, my wife don't even look her age. She looks like she's younger.
Right.
You know, but you know, from back then, I never wanted to become a police officer. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of coworkers looked at me and they're like, "You don't want to be a cop anymore." I said, "No, I don't. I want to get into the movies." Because I was so busy at the time. I was auditioning a lot over the weekend in New York, and I had several callbacks many times. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it." But one thing that I remember, what the coach said: you can audition 300-400 times, and you may not even get a role. You know, it happens. Like a couple of actors, they had to go for over 300 auditions just to get a part in a movie, which made a big hit. So I guess I said to myself, I guess I'm not the only one in this world. There are people who are trying. And from there, I've always kept that attitude. So, you know what? When I retire, or if I decide to retire early, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Get into the movies, find a way to audition, and get any role. I don't care if you give me a role playing as a homeless person pushing a shopping cart. Hey, it's something. As long as my face there for 12 seconds scene, I don't care. You know, I'm getting something out of it. But that's always been my goal. And when I was getting closer to retirement, my interest of becoming a cop, I was like, I can't wait to get out. That was my attitude. I can't wait to get out. But I never told anybody. I only told my cousin, who's my partner for like a couple of years. And he looked at me. He's like, just stay on your P's and Q's. Because let me tell you, back then as a cop, if they suspect you are trying to leave for a better career, even if it's a fireman, they will try and move you to another station to work midnights. And that's exactly what they did to me. I got moved because I was giving away free DVDs of the low budget film that I did. And it got to everybody. And they said, "Who's giving you this movie?" "Oh, this cop, Jose. You know, he did this low budget film." "Oh, really?" You know, jealousy is a mother effer. Let me tell you that right now.
Right.
So if they're gonna make an example out of you, they will. So what they did, they transferred me. They put me working in another station, working midnights as like a punishment.
Yeah, maybe that's where it all began. You know, everything that.
It all happened. I mean, it just like I said, just because they moved me to another station working midnights, they did me a favor. They put me back at a precinct that where I started. And it's so funny. It's like, you still doing acting? I was like, I don't know about now. And one of my desk bosses, he decided to go speak to an assignment officer, and they said, do me a favor, change his tour, put him working afternoons, let him do what he has to do. So he gave me that opportunity in the morning, because I had auditions in New York in the morning. Yeah. So I went out there and I continued doing it. But when things were getting very, very close, that's when I got moved again. And I started working these crazy hours. And that's when I told my agent in New York, named Mike Lyons, and I said, listen, I need to put a stop into this, because they keep moving me and I'm having trouble getting home, sleeping and everything, because I'm working a lot of overtime. And that's what they do. Let me tell you, I don't care who you are. I don't care who they are. Your friends are your friends. Family is family. But let me tell you, be very, very careful, because back then I was sharing my dreams to other people with excitement. I was very happy about it. A couple of people, they knew about it, but they started telling everybody. And everybody that don't know you will hate you. And that's when you find out who they are. You become hated for no reason.
Lex says la envidia mata.
Oh, it does. He's right, because in his version, they envy him, and he's a good officer. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he did what he did, and when he got out, like I said, when you're trying to retire, the system itself will exemplify you one way or another. They will want something to say, let's see if he's got a pending charge, or he's under investigation, or he's got nothing. Damn, then he's gonna, okay, we're gonna retire. I'm retiring because I already got enough time on the books. See, 11 years ago, when I did my first bodybuilding show after so many years, back from 1995, I did my research. I contacted Trenton. Matter of fact, I even went out there and I spoke to the counselor, and they said, can I leave at a certain time? Can I do my 25 years or 20? They looked at the system and said, no, you can get on 20. I said, wow. So I contacted my union and I asked, can I leave under this year? And he's like, yeah. That's when I kept it quiet. And I said, okay, you could do whatever you want to do with me. As long as I'm still wearing that crown on my head, you can't stop me. You can't take away, my dream, my goals. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're high brass. At the end of the day, I still look good. You got to go home and take your medicines, So yeah. I had this attitude, like, you know what? Like, I started not to care. But when it came to work with my coworkers, one thing they can tell you, I've always made them laugh. I've always brought comedy comments. I always make funny comments to people, especially when you're working on the streets. You meet people every day, strange people sometimes, and you're like, wow, this is not life. And you go home and you do mimics, and you get better in what you do. And a lot of cops came up to me back then. They're like, yo, why don't you just do movies? You're too funny. You do skits, you do this, you do that. And I said, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get out.
Yeah. I can see it now. I can see it now that's where you got to be like in the limelight. You got to be performing somehow. Like, yeah, I have a good vision for it right now. I could see it. I could totally see it. Somebody, a Facebook person said, keep working. It happened to me over 3 times in my military career. I don't know who it is, because StreamYard isn't showing your name. So tell us who you are, your name, because I can't see who it is. But yeah, like now I get a better picture into your story, and I get a better understanding of who you are. We really, I get a better understanding of that. You want to get a little bit into the four things that these are the 4 things that you had said about what keeps you going, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense now, which is what we want to share with everyone is you had said always believe. And that's one of the big things that helps you, is to keep believing, even though there's the envy of the people and the lack of support from, I guess the police, they were trying to block you somehow or make life a little bit more difficult for you when they realized you had another dream other than being a lifetime, which, I mean, that didn't block you from being a good police officer, I imagine, but,
no.
They want you to have another dream. So now it makes sense, what everything you said. Talk a little bit about how just those 2 words, always believe, how that has helped you.
Oh, always believe. That's the most powerful word in the world. You know, that's like saying, put God in your heart. Always believe is, what I'm trying to say is put God in your heart. He's the boss. He has the final say. He's in control. With God in your heart, God on your side, you're unstoppable. You're that locomotive going up in flames. You're the GG1 that you're going right through the barricades, and you're unstoppable because if there's something already given to you by the great one upstairs, who's going to stop you? Who has the final say? Who are these people to say, you can't do that? You can't do that. You're nobody. You can't do that. No, you can't be like us. You don't smoke cigars like we do. You don't wear suits like we do. First of all, I'm not a bubblegum gangster. Let's get that part. The real one is Al Capone. Do you want to go that far? You're nothing but a dust away. But always believe, I say it because if there is something in your heart, and if you dream about it, if you see it in your vision, and it gets into your dreams, because 9 out of 10, if you keep thinking about it so much, it automatically goes in your dreams. And that dream, you go places you thought you'd never be before. But who knows, that place you may get there. So when I say always believe, you got to believe in yourself. You got to focus on your goals. You want to focus on you. You have to do you. You have to go out there and put in the work. You got to break your butt. You got to rise and shine, get up and grind. Remember, you're going to have that Mr. Resistant looking at you, poking at you, saying, no, go back to sleep. Now, I know you got up to go use the bathroom, but go back to sleep. You're supposed to get up and do the work. You're not going to do the work today. No, I'm going to punch you in the face because you're trying to stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do. Because the minute you get up from bed, you already won that battle. Now you have to do is put on your outfit, put on your sneakers, and go out there and run.
That really resonates with me so much because, as you know, that's what I'm always posting about. Like, be all of you, believe in your dreams. And I really believe, as a trauma therapist and a mental health counselor, I believe that a lot of the reasons why people suffer from depression and anxiety and mental health issues is because they're not all of themselves, because their dreams have been squashed. So for me, yes, a cure to depression and anxiety and all of that is to be all of you and to be your dreams and chase them. Like, if you're not chasing your dreams and instead you're pushing them aside for whatever the reason, I think I see it as a main reason for depression, mental health issues, like all of this stuff. Like, it's like the cure for it is what I see, like going towards being all of you and being your greatness. So that really resonates a lot with me and my message.
Yeah. Well, the truth with that is, like, like you said, it's you. It's you versus you. It's your vision. It's nobody else's. If it's something that you want to do, sometimes you may have to drive a little far to get where you want to be. Perhaps you're destined to be there. Perhaps it is meant for you to be there. The only person that can stop you is you. You have to go out there. You have to just push right through it. And again, yeah, you're gonna get these people giving you negative feedbacks. You're gonna have these setbacks. Now, that's something, if you have to put a temporary stop into something to handle a personal matter, then so be it. But don't ever give up that dream that you're supposed to get in that car. You're supposed to go out there and you're supposed to go and punch that door down and say, listen, I'm here to represent. I'm here to work. I'm here to do what I got to do. I want to be successful. I'm already here. So let me get my suit. That's the attitude that you have to have, because at the end of the day, you're going to have nobody. And I'm the example for that, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people that turn their back on me. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't call me to see how my kids are doing, how my family's doing. There's nobody calling me every now and then to see if I'm okay. The only one thing is Lex, of all people. Lex. That's right, Lex. He's the only one that calls me up to check up to see if I'm okay. I think my wife, she comes in, she says, baby, you all right? I said, yeah, mommy, I'm here. I'm good. But people will turn their back on you. People will turn their back on you. They will not believe in you. There's a lot of people that don't believe in me anymore.
Why isn't Lex and your wife in Circle of Champions?
I don't even know. My wife temporarily got a My wife, she got herself off of Facebook because she's so busy teaching these kids over at Turner Rock High School right now, and she's like so into her job there, and she's doing a project here and everything. She's doing courses and everything for them and everything. Lex should be already by now Circle of Champion. He should just log in and get involved. Yeah, you should get involved. But to me, I think my wife's a bigger champion because my wife was the one that started all this with the Shazam costume and everything. If it wasn't for that costume, I think it would have been to Comic Cons to meet up with Rocky Johnson.
Nothing would have happened. That's crazy. Nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened if it wasn't. That just proves how. I mean, whatever made her do that, that just proves how you gotta listen. You gotta, like, how they say be obedient. You have to be obedient to whatever is being said to you, because look at how everything is set off. And now, I thought when you posted pictures of his passing, I thought it was a family member, because it actually looks like a family member for you. And I didn't realize who it was, and I didn't realize the significance of his death, Rocky Johnson's death in your life. And now I see that was a huge significance, because that was a big deal. That was a really big deal.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that. I remember it clear as day. My wife and I, we were watching the movie. I think it was Fast and the Furious 8 at home, and I was trying to get my rest, because I had to work that night, which I didn't. I didn't go to work. The hell with it. When you mentioned family to Rocky Johnson, we were family. And let me tell you, this man embraced me, not just to get involved in the industry, but he also reminded me to know what family is all about. Nothing but love that came out of that man's heart. This man was very, very pure, golden heart. Let me tell you, like I said, he reminded me so much of my grandfather. And every time I look at him, he's got that beautiful smile. Rocky Johnson has that beautiful smile. And he gave me that smile every now and then. He says, you're my favorite. And I say, I appreciate that. Let me tell you, this man says stuff that twists my heart in them. But when I received tons and tons of messages of, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss. Are you okay, Jose? Shazam, are you all right? What's going on? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And I kept scrolling down my Facebook messages, and I had one from Cowboy, Matt Willis. We call him Cowboy. By the way, congratulations, Cowboy. He graduated from the academy. He's going to be a police officer in Florida, and God bless him. So he was the one that wrote a message saying, yo, did Rocky pass away? I was like, wait a minute. Coming from a man like him who he met already, that he bonded also with, I said, no, this man ain't going to lie to me. I'm not saying that people that message me were liars, but coming from him now. So my wife went on, she went on TMZ, and TMZ don't sugarcoat. So when she read TMZ's message, Rocky Johnson passed away at 75, I'm like, whoa. Let me tell you, it felt like a 9/11 attack by one person who gave me half his heart. That it felt like a message, like if there was a sad music in the background, I'd be crying, but I was crying anyway. So I said, what the hell with this? So my wife and I and my best friend Cowboy, we went out there to where he resided, and we couldn't get in because at the time, they didn't want anybody there, but they removed his body, about 2 hours before we arrived. And I said, Jesus Christ, man. And I left him a message that day, sometime around 1 p.m. because we were supposed to have a cookout over at his new place with my wife and everybody else. And I was going to invite Cowboy and Brandon. And that created a twist because we both cried, and the Cowboy cried. I mean, we was in tears. We couldn't believe the impact. It is right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm feeling it. I'm seeing it already happening all over again. I'm like, this cannot be happening. This is a joke. This better be a joke, but it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't a joke, and I said to myself, you know what? We had a lot more to do because he offered me a job already, and for me to get ready and for me to start getting my travels going. I was supposed to go to Canada to get ready for a role, and I've never had a phone call from anyone at all. And they had a private service, over in somewhere in Tampa. They had a church in Tampa or Lutz, and it was a private service. But I never had a phone call from anyone, from anybody of what's going to happen. From what I understand, back then, he offered me to do a resume because at the time he called me on May 2nd, which was Dwayne Johnson's birthday. This was in 2000, I believe, in 16. He called me up. He goes, "Hey, when you coming down here to Florida?" And I said, "I don't know. Whenever you tell me to." He told me to go now. I'll go now. And I said, "Tell The Rock," I said, "Happy birthday." So he acknowledged back. And he said, "Dwayne said for you to start your portfolio and your resume. And, I need it ASAP." So I think the next month or so, I decided to train hard and I started to, get my grinding going. So I went to a studio up in Livingston. I went to take some photos and everything. So I had like about 30 photos taken, different poses and everything. So when I met up with him again back in 2016, I gave him my folder. So he kept looking at my resume and said, "Oh, you got some experience." Because back then when I was a child, I had some acting experiences. I was an extra in Lean On Me, based on a true story with Morgan Freeman. And so I had a little small parts. I took acting classes right after high school, but I did some few small things, but just to get some kind of exposure. So when I gave him my resume, I gave him my package. He looked at it. He looked at me. He says, "Wow, you got some experiences." I was like, "Yeah, a little bit, not much." So he started texting The Rock, his son, about I got his package. So he said, "Good." He said he wants to. I'm gonna give him the package when I go back to Florida. I said, "Okay." So when he got there, he acknowledged me back. He says, "Jose, I gave Dwayne your resume." I said, "Okay, good." So I guess he spoke to him about putting me in the upcoming movie that he's working on called Black Adam, the evil version of Shazam. And he said, we're good. He asked him, "Is it okay he does, he gets involved in your project?" And Dwayne Johnson said, "No, I don't have a problem." He gave him the resume. He said, "Good." So when I asked Rocky, I said, "Am I good with Dwayne doing the movie Black Adam with him? I don't care if it's a small part, if I'm pushing a horse or a camel, He says, "Sure, yeah. No, you're good. You're good." I said, "Okay." And then on November 9th of 2019, when I met up with him at the Fan Fest, I brought two guys, Brandon and Cowboy. So I guess he told right in front of Brandon, he said, "Dwayne's going to take good care of you when the Black Adam movie comes out." I said, "Okay, yeah, okay, I can't wait." He said, "Just keep training, keep looking your best. You got this." So from there, I kept that mentality of, with a positive attitude. I never told anybody about it. Everybody assumed that I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this movie, do this." No, I said, "Wait for it." So people back then are saying, "Oh, he's going to come on the movie Black Adam." There's only 5 people that know, because at the time in Comic Cons, he told those 5 people that I was going to come out in the movie Black Adam with Dwayne. And that was back in Jersey, So let me tell you, when the hate is real, yes, it is. Because now you have friends that won't talk to you anymore. People don't want to know anything about you. I said, "But wait a minute, I'm not even in the movies yet. I'm still a police officer. I'm still working. I'm still minding my own business." At the time, my son was born back then. So it's like, I got to work harder for it, for my baby. So I wasn't thinking so much of the movie Black Adam. I was focusing on my family now, because now, I have a, newborn son named Jordan. So yeah, he's my little Green Lantern. And yeah, so I kept it to myself. And then back in 2017, we decided to come to Florida, and I met up with him over in Weston.
Was it because of Rocky, because of your connection with Rocky Johnson, that you came down here?
Well, yeah, he offered to, "Listen, I want you to move down here," but most likely because, my wife's parents retired and they moved to Florida, which is strange. It was like, wow, what a coincidence. This is the law of attraction. This is something powerful.
A lot of what
And
you've been saying, a lot of what you've been saying is like the law of attraction. A lot of it.
but you know what? Like my wife was the one that had the CD, and I was watching that CD, The Secret, and I was like,
Yeah,
holy Christ! And I was like,
yeah. It's
the
powerful.
thoughts become things, and let me tell you,
Yes.
what a
Yeah.
what a truth. When we went to Florida, because we wasn't living there, her parents were. We drove to Weston, where Rocky Johnson lived at the time,
Oh yeah.
and we was welcomed. And let me tell you, he was like, "Come on in." And all I saw was his memorabilia, his belts back then, his awards, and I'm like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm at Dwayne Johnson's father's house. I'm at the legend's house." And then he said, "Sit down on the couch, let's talk." Right in front of my wife, you know, and my son, and his wife at the time. He goes like, "You got a small role in Black Adam." I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." I was like, "No,
Wow.
you got a small part in Black Adam, because being that you're a new face, just keep doing what you're doing. You may have to audition for it, you may not, but you're good. You're good." I said, "Okay."
Mhm.
So from there, I just kept it quiet, and we still talking. We started taking pictures. We started, laughing a little bit, just getting together, getting to know more. He showed me around his big house. His house is huge. Oh my God. And then he gave me a hoodie that The Rock had. And I was like, "This is a brand new hoodie." He said, "No, it's for you, take it." A hoodie they never made yet. And I was like, this
Wow.
this hoodie is not made yet. He's like, "I know. You're the first one to have it." And I still have it.
Cool.
It's the Under Armour. So it was a cool thing. But he says, he gave me a hug. He said, "I love you. Just get home safe. Call me when you get there." So even if it's 11 o'clock at night, he says, he gave me this look like, "I get up at 4 in the morning. You're probably still asleep." I said, "Okay." So
That's
we drove home with this was like there was with this big wow, like, damn, it's going to happen.
wow. Wow, that's
So
pretty incredible. It is the law of attraction. It really is. It really is. Did you just realize that right now talking, or did you already know it was like the law of attraction?
actually, pretty much of both, because it's like, I expected something, but I'm like, not like this, not like this. I was like, wow, this is, they say a man finds gold, and it's one chance of a lifetime. But this to me was like one chance of a lifetime. It was like, is it now or never? You take it or you leave it. And I said, "Listen,
Something happened to your audio. I don't know why you sound so like something sounds different about your audio. I don't
audio's
know
good."
why. Oh, I don't know what happened. So we gone a little bit over the hour. So let and I don't even know who's still here. There's still people there. It might be like I think Lex is still there, and you have a cousin that's been on here too. Um, but you want to maybe we could talk about like tell people two things that you want to give to them that has kept you going despite everything, that they could hold on to like when things are hard and it seems like everyone's going against you or you don't have the support that you need. What are two things that have kept you going?
Well, only you is all you need. You don't need anybody, no matter what. It's just you. You're on your own.
Okay.
You're, no matter how hard you experience hardships, rough times, no matter how bad these heavy winds and bumpy roads come into your life, you don't give up. You don't stop. You don't break down. You keep going. If an eagle can fly through the storm, why not you? You know, you can't give up. You have to keep going. I lost a great, wonderful man in my life, and that was the late soulman Rocky Johnson. I've never given up on his word, and I've always told him, "I love you no matter what happens. I'm going to keep going." And he smiled at me. And those who I've lost recently through the COVID-19, those were the ones that believed in my dreams. Those were the ones that said, "I see you already as one of the stars." And from there, I kept that. So no matter what, is anyone out there right now, you experience hardships, don't give up on your dream. Don't give up, don't quit. Lead by example. Because when your kids get up and grow bigger, you say, Dad, how'd you make it? I made it because of you. Do it for the ones you love. Do it for your family. Do it for the ones who had your back. Not for money, not for convenience, but for your love. Those who believe in you and support you. Those are the ones that you gotta give back to them and shine them and say, listen, if it wasn't for you, I would not be here today. Don't you ever give up. You go out there and you get it. It's already yours. The Lord has got it for you. It's here. Go after it. I don't care what he say, she say. If you have to cut everybody out of your life, it's okay. At the end of the day, it's you. It's your vision. It's your goal. It's there. Ask and you shall receive. Thoughts become things. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's already yours. Go after it.
That's a really awesome message. And I want to thank you for coming on the show and like just shining your light and just spreading your positivity, because you're very, very positive, and I'm sure like I told you earlier today, I think right now you're at a place where you just got to make things happen for yourself. You don't have to wait. We're definitely going to work on that for sure, because I could see it clearer now. And you just spoke right now. You just did it. I'm going to send you a clip of it. So yes, we're going to keep working on that. I don't know if you see the comments, but Lex says Shazam, and he puts a whole bunch of lightning, and he's been here the whole time. He's been here the whole time.
He's the first one, and I'm gonna be honest with you. He's gonna be the first one that's gonna be there next to me anyway. When the time is right, when the time comes, and God knows it, He knows already the magic is coming. And we got the magic. Just like you, the queen, you got the magic. Just like Lex, the warrior legend, he's got the magic. We got the magic. It's just we are the stars. It takes a while to polish us up a little bit. But overall, we are the stars.
I love that. That's awesome.
As stars, we play a lot of roles in life. The most important is being ourselves. You're the star of your life. Don't let drugs or alcohol play a part. It just only brings you down, and the curtains will close on you. Don't ever give up, damn it.
Awesome message. Thank you so much, and thanks for everyone who showed up, whether it's the people here or the people on the replay. Hope you enjoyed it. And also, let's finish up with tell everyone where they could find you and like how they could contact you and find you.
You can always find me on Facebook under Jose Alicea. I'm one of the champions of the Circle of Champions, and with the founder of you. Thank you very much for welcoming me to your show. And you can always find me. You can always message me at any time. And if you want to request me as a friend, I can try my best. Thanks to you, I have to keep posting more pictures and more videos and throw some effects in the background. I want to thank Raymond, for giving me some love on this, because Raymond's there. But again, reach out to me under Jose Alicea. That's it. If you need to talk, need advice, I can try my best to give it to you. I had experiences myself. I had stories that, thank God I'm still here to share.
Jose Alicea, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook. Where else are you on are you on Twitter?
Yeah, sometimes under Shazam Alicea, on Twitter. But I don't really post much. Twitter's too political for some reason.
Yeah, it always has. So mostly it's Facebook and Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, guys. So have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jose, for coming on. Say hi to your wife. And hope you have a great night. And we'll keep talking so we could create, the new Shazam.
Yeah, hopefully your mouth to God's ears. But you know what? God is in good show.
You're back. Your voice came back. Oh man.
I guess God did that. And Rocky did that. Thank you, Rocky. You're the man.
All right. All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.